another match point.
Incredible third set here.
They changed their strategy a little bit and they fought their way back in.
There it is, game, set, and match.
Hello and welcome to the 2024-25 APTA Tour. We're live from the Glenview Club in Gulf, Illinois, bringing you the Chicago Charities Grand Prix event with live streaming brought to you by the APTA membership and our tour presenting sponsors, Volley and Corient. Tournament support has been provided by the following local sponsors: Wintrust, Illinois Bone and Joint, Viking, and CPTC. I'm Patty Hogan along with Chicago's very own Mike Raleigh, bringing you men's semifinal action between Graham McNerney and Adam Morgan and the team of Tomislav Gregurovic and his partner Tin Ostojic. Welcome, Mike, to the booth.
Patty, so happy to be here with you. Like I told you earlier, I couldn't sleep last night. I'm so excited for this match and to be in the booth with you. We've got Ron Borgatti up in the chair. Be making all the difficult decisions, and the hardest thing is keeping track of the score. Well, I have to say that the hardest thing beyond that might be saying the name Gregurovic and Ostojic. So if I got to apologize to everybody if I happen to get it wrong. I'm doing my best.
But, you know, you have that nice smile, Mike.
Yeah.
Everyone's going to forgive you.
Well, we got a great match. If you're the players, we've got Tom Gregurovic here in the lighter, I'd call it the royal blue top. On the ad side, left of our screen, on the right-hand side is his partner Tin Ostojic. And on the far side, we've got Adam Morgan in his traditional Under Armour blue hoodie and gray slacks. And Graham McNerney, sorry. See, I'm struggling with everybody's name except Morgan. We've got a great matchup today. I didn't get to see, I called the Morgan McNerney match last night, but didn't get to see the other fellas play, so I'm excited to sit down and dig in for some great paddle.
Okay, you turn on the TV this morning and you're watching what's going to be a fascinating matchup. You know, McNerney and Morgan are our tournament number 2 seeded team here, and they're up against the team who was actually the 16th seed theoretically going into this match, yet they took out Araya Bostrom, the number 4 seed, in the round of 16 match. They took out the number 6 seeded team of Ong and Steinman. So, Mike, it seems like they're ready for this big moment.
Yeah, you know, last night it was their match wound up just after we finished the other match, and I got to watch just a few. But the crowd they were pumping the crowd up, and it was pretty electric here. And they're a very dynamic team. I believe they were teammates at Wichita State. And, you know, this will be, I think, a really interesting matchup.
Yeah, I mean, both of them born in the same town in Croatia, Mike. Adam Morgan and Graham. You know, if I'm not sure this is a pick'em. For me, I mean, how do you go against Morgan and Graham McNerney in this match, Mike? In a way, you can't go that way because their experience, just the discipline, the style of play. But that's why we play the game. And I think Tin and you know, Tommy G, how we might refer to Tommy G today. You know, these guys, Dave Broderick said they've got every shot in the book, Patty. You should see these guys. He had so much fun calling the match last night. He said they can do everything. They clearly came up with some great wins as underdogs yesterday. I think they're a big underdog in this match, yet they've got all the physical skills, and it's just going to be a matter of, do they have a discipline and a style, or can they come up with a game plan that can effectively break down Adam Morgan and Graham McNerney? Graham McNerney to serve.
See a quick switch up at the net here to get Graham McNerney driving the boat, hitting most of the overheads. He's got a little bit more.
Mike, did you go to McDonald's on your way here? Because, McNerney and McNerney.
Yeah,
Because Brad gave me my lesson this morning in how to pronounce things. Mike, what makes a team, Morgan McNerney, they teamed up this year. They obviously have played against each other a million times. They teamed up. Some people think they're going to be one of the teams at the end of the season who could win nationals. What makes them so great?
Well, I think, Graham does such a great job of I almost called him a chameleon, playing. He has the ability to play different roles and different styles based on his partner and how they play. And I think Adam, to a large extent, has the same, the ability. But, you get from Graham right now playing that ad side, the ability to drive the ball, he does most of his damage and most of his work off the back screens. And Adam is a rock solid, rarely makes what I'd call mistakes in kind of tactically trying to hit the wrong shots. And I mean, it really is they're fun to watch because they are two different types of players.
And Mike, as one of the most respected teaching pros in the country, when you say the wrong shot, I hear commentators say that at times. And what do you mean by the wrong shot? Because I watch as a fan, and I'm like, wow, that looked freaking awesome.
Yeah, it could be an example might be that he's driving when his opponents are perfectly placed at the net, and there isn't, he doesn't have space in which to drive the ball, or choosing to drive a ball kind of from an off position. Say he's back behind the baseline and falling away from the court or away from the net. It's probably not the right shot and should be lobbed. And I think it's the best players make the best decisions.
Dave Broderick said, he said, look, Tommy J and Tin can play with anybody. He says it's just going to come down to, he said, their shot selection. He said, you watch them, their positioning may be a little different from other teams. He said, I don't really think it affects them because they're so good, so athletic, can anticipate anything, and have great hands that they can cover most shots that they hit. That's not their problem. But is it a winning strategy? And he just thinks it comes down, like this match, believe it or not, is in their hands in a way. We know what to expect from McNerney and Adam Morgan.
Mm-hmm. That's a great point.
I expect that Adam Morgan will be out on the live stream all year long in gray and navy. Yeah. Do you agree, Mike?
It's a sound bet. He may shake it up and put I don't know if he's got a black Under Armour hoodie. I don't know. We'll have to.
I think he does mix it up with the black. Yeah. You're right. But all kidding aside, we just know what to expect, and we just don't know what to expect from these guys. So it's going to be fascinating for all of us to watch it. McNerney's the APTA Tour Cup point leader. He won it last year. What a sizable check. And all these tournaments, not only do you earn ranking points, as we know, you earn points toward that Tour Cup, and it's a big prize at the end of the year. And Graham just, quite a player, played so many tour events, plays with so many different people, always gets deep in the draw. Not a surprise he's at the top of that. But he is tied with Jose Salazar, who's played one more tournament than Alvi, or two, and they are tied actually at the top of the leaderboard for the APTA Cup coming into Chicago Charities.
Yeah, that's a testament, to not only the number of tournaments that Graham plays, but also, like you said, he's a perennial semifinalist, finalist, and winner of a lot of these tournaments. Wow. Great point.
Another thing Dave Broderick mentioned to me this morning, he thought there's going to be so much transition in this match, and he just thinks whichever team handles it better will have the edge. Right there, Tommy G just a little off balance trying to handle that shot.
And yeah, we have McNerney. He's able to, that's his. I don't know if there's anybody better at it, at that transition game. Where he'll let a ball go through to the back screen and then drive it back. It just he does it quite well.
Yeah, I'll say.
That was an impressive drive.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be a human highlight reel in this match, I think, with the shot making, capabilities that all four players have. Hey, Mike, it looks like a overcast day in Chicago. Thank God, not the sun that the players battled for the first 2 days of this event.
Yeah, the weather is cooperating as far as the sun is concerned. There's a chance of rain as we go deeper into the afternoon, but relatively no wind, 45 degrees, and overcast skies here, Glenview Club.
Mike, we know Adam teamed up successfully for about 4 years with Tyler Fraser. 3 appearances in the men's national semifinals, 1 quarterfinal appearance. Phenomenal team together. Here, Adam, when he plays with Graham, is also in the deuce court. Do you ever see Adam play at court paddle out there, Mike? In league,
some of the league play he will, but Adam's the co-director of racket sports at. Wow, what a great cutter at Birchwood Club in Highland Park, Illinois, with his wife Allison, and even his partner there. I think he plays the ad, and Adam plays the deuce, and
that's because Allison wants to play the ad court, Mike.
I think in mixed. Where does he play with Allison? I guess they've done quite well in mixed nationals and married mixed. I think they've won the married mixed. But he's like a Swiss Army knife. He can do just about everything.
They won the husband and wife in 2016 and in 2017. They took out Brian and Amy Heil in 16. They took out Cara Delmonico and Mike Stulak in 17.
There's a couple good wins there.
Oh, yeah. And then a finalist and husband and wife. A lot of great teams. They lost 1 year to Dana and Mark Parsons. Mark Parsons going into the Hall of Fame this year. Congrats, Mark, on that achievement. They also lost twice to Hannah Bostrom. So they are one of the top teams in the country, husband-wife nationals.
And right here is where Graham, that play just calmly lets the ball go through and drives it back. Seen 2 uncharacteristic missed overheads this game from Morgan and McNerney there.
I was wondering about Gregurovic and Ostojic. They had a really long day, grinding matches, but they look, they're young, Mike. Their knees don't
fresh.
feel like our knees.
They look really fresh there.
Yeah, I was curious how they would come out, this morning, and they seem pretty light and loose, and they've been friends since childhood. Wichita State's most successful doubles team ever, I think, and it's going to be fun to unfold. Watch it all unfold here.
They had a great match against Ong and Steinman. I think it was 4-4 in the quarters last night. And as you mentioned, they beat Bostrom and Araya. It was like 3-2, I believe. And they were the 4th seed. We got our 13th deuce now? If every game goes this long, we'll be here. What time
You may have to go. You may have to get the McDonald's drive-through for lunch, Mike, for the 3rd set.
Uber Eats or something. Boy, if this first game is any indication of how Tommy G and Tin Ostojic are going to play, I'm not seeing many kind of poor decision making.
Not at all.
And there you see a good fist pump. I think they're going to bring a lot of energy and excitement into this match. Yeah.
At the conclusion of their match last night, or some match yesterday, I caught 1 second on the live stream, and they jumped up and had the chest bump.
The Bryant
in
brothers
the air
chest bump. I did see it.
with elevation, Mike.
I know.
Like 2 feet
I would have pulled
off the
something.
ground.
You know. Wow. Really nice spin.
Ostojic, they lead the first set, 1-0.
Mike, another thing Dave Broderick mentioned to me, I said, well, what was the difference in the match? How were they able to pull out that match last night? And he said exactly what we just saw, that kind of slash overhead that Ostojic hits. He said he felt that shot was the difference maker in that match. And, you know, when you can get guys to miss off an overhead, we know that's a huge difference maker in our sport.
When, you know, the slash through the court and into the kind of the corners of the back screen it really then sets up that cut drop, you know, because the guy can't commit when he sees you maybe cock the wrist a specific way, whether you're going to slash it or whether you're going to, you know, cut drop it where it lands in the short court and dies, where the slash is going to move through the court into the screens. And I say it almost like cuts your knees off. It comes in low and stays low. Keeps it, you know, keeps them uncomfortable on any short lob. Otherwise, you let Graham kind of settle in back there. He's not going to miss the screen. Oh. Surprised they're not playing first in. We had a league match last week, and the guys were first in. He missed like 7 serves in a row, and he was firing and trying to fire in aces.
After 2 warm-up serves, Mike, and he said, okay, let's play.
They go first in. I'm like, wait, isn't this a league match and you're playing first in? But they were playing no slop, so if it was a let ace, they would reserve.
Okay. No slop. I hadn't heard that one before.
That's a nice, nasty little roller there, Tommy G.
Mike, I think the volley machine should start naming some of their that they feed you after these players. How great would it be? I want to practice the Tommy G shot.
Yeah.
Again.
You know, I get the short overhead that sits up and gets smoked as a drive, okay? The bad short overhead that lands short and gets smoked, that'll be all mine.
You know, everybody watching the stream has seen McNerney and Morgan play probably dozens and dozens and dozens of times. I think I saw one match of Tommy G's last year. I've never seen Tin play. And you look at him, Mike, and it doesn't look like there's any separation in talent. Would you agree? You're just watching this. Here we are in the early going, and that all 4 of them look awesome. And I think, you know, when you're watching this at home, you're wondering, like, how can these guys say they're overwhelming favorites to win this match? Why are they that much higher in the rankings? I just think it's so close. There's so much depth in the men's game. And, you know, I look at Tommy G and Tin and, you know, in Baltimore. They went out in the round of 16s, Mike. But they went out 6-3 third set after winning the first set off of Tyler Frazier. Eric Wester won the event. So their losses are always to a team in the top 15, and I think it's just a matter of time for them where we're going to see them every time they play in the top 10 in this country before long.
Yeah, and a little foot fault, right? It's called on 10 there.
So 2 breaks to start the match, Mike.
Yeah, we had a fault and then a foot fault. And Patty, with the rise of Regalado, Salazar, Nunez, Tommy G here in 10, there's no longer can you say, well, they're the inexperienced team and, therefore they're not going to be competitive until they learn the game. It's like they're on this fast track through the experience, and it's pretty impressive. And not only is it, extremely talented, but I don't know who's coaching these guys, but they're doing a heck of a job. Wow. Great hands from Adam Morgan. And I love
These
that
guys
move.
Yeah, really good hands. But you got to just a hint there of the court coverage that Tommy G and Tin you're going to see that. I don't think there's any ball that neither of them wants to hit at all times, Mike.
Well, you hear Graham saying to Adam, way to grind. I think that's got to be their number one strategy, is to just try to grind these guys and weather their storm from spins. Great point.
Game, Morgan, McNerney, they lead first set 2 games to 1.
And just it's unfortunate, just a little bit of a wild swing right at the end of that, Mike. But what action here, and this is really fun, entertaining paddle. Everybody's pushing it, and if the points go on really long, like any longer points, I got to say, huge nod to Fraser and Morgan being able to, not Fraser and Morgan McNerney. I apologize. To pull out the match. I feel like the longer it goes, this match feels like it might go lopsided toward those guys.
And the willingness of McNerney and Morgan to play one more ball, and that mentality to grind it out. Generally, you look at it, and for all the flash and winners that might be hit, but if they're undoing, there's a little around the post. Are you kidding me? Fantastic. I would have broken both my ankles, and there's golly. few times that it's an unfortunate let cord that goes in. But I was saying, you know, like the willingness to grind out there, and they will write off, you know, the spin winners and not give them up to their opponents, but hope that at least there's an even balance between kind of the unforced error miss and the winners, where those two balance each other out, and then they're battling for all that, you know, all the points between winners and unforced errors. And I think that really lends itself to favoring Morgan and McNerney.
Mike, he could have easily volleyed that ball, Tommy G, when he was moving in, but he let it go. How come he let that ball go through?
I would say a lot of times it's, you know, it's I said yesterday, it's that 50-50 ball, or if they're not sure that they, you know, can control the volley and not only get it in, but control the length and the depth on it, that confident enough to say, you know what, let's roll it out of here and we'll give up the net and play from the backcourt. Because they're, you know, we've seen they're equally adept at, you know, playing and winning a point from the backcourt as they are up at the net. And then the threat, I think, of Graham with his quickness and blitzing, that, you know, if he's forced to volley a ball from a low position and lift to a blitzer, you know, it'd be smart to let that ball go through.
Yeah, that's the positioning of the partner of the returner factors in mightily here.
Yes.
What a great lob from Morgan. Awesome hands from Gregurovic. Just go back, little backhand flick. Not a lot of people can do that shot.
40-15.
A rare McNerney miss lob.
Here's Adam calling Graham off that overhead.
Good teamwork, Mike.
Teamwork makes the dream work, Patty. It's kind of like you and I, you know, it's just you read each other's mind.
It's like peanut butter and jelly. Are you the peanut butter or are you the jelly?
Yeah, it depends. It's week to week. Not sure.
Exactly. What kind of bread?
You know, I'm with my PB&J, I'm more of a white bread. You know, toasted white bread is usually my go-to if I have the time. And then some just plain old potato chips too. Not on the sandwich, but with the sandwich.
See, in the summer, I like it sometimes in the sandwich on a hot day.
Okay. All right. You ever go with the Elvis special with peanut butter and, what did he have? Peanut butter, banana, and bacon.
Ooh. I've left off the bacon out of that. I wanted to live long.
First set tie, 2 games to 2.
2-2 in the first set here.
1 second, sorry. Moramo se polako i onda jednom udariš malo je zašlo. Jednom I to je to. I bio polako. Ajde, okay.
Hey, Mike. So we've seen 4 servers. Adam Morgan, the only sidearm server.
Mm-hmm.
What do you see percentage-wise of the use of the sidearm serve? It seems to me I'm seeing less of it.
I agree. You know what you're seeing more of is just that kind of that serve and either float in. If partner cuts that ball off, you know, then the server will come in behind the serve. We were talking about that last night, that, you know, that it was a bit of a, I don't want to call it a fad, but it was the thing to hit a couple years ago, and now guys are transitioning away from that serve.
And why did they do it in the first place, Mike?
Well, if you watch when they're driving the ball, the strike point from, like on Graham's serve here, will tend to bounce up higher. And if they're driving it kind of from above net level. And so they don't have to lift it, where with Adam Morgan's serve, that contact point is more around waist high or the level of the net. So it's a more difficult ball for them to tattoo off the drive service return. It's not stopping them from drive, it's just kind of limiting the damage that the driver can do.
Mike, as one of our game's finest teachers, you recommend people favor their backhand volleys on balls being drilled at them.
Yes.
Do you find that players have a little bit more of a difficult time setting up for their first volley after serving sidearm than versus serving overhand?
Well, that's a fantastic question. I think if you look at the finish, where the overhand serve, the hands tend to finish like the completion of the service motion is the beginning of the volley, where, because the finish happens, you know, around belt buckle high, across the chest, and where the finish on the roller, that sidearm serve, Adam's finish into his left shoulder. So he's got to then set the hands, or reset the hands. I mean, these guys are so talented that, but for the average player, yeah, it's, you know, backhand dominant volley. And boy, 30 all here. And Patty, why do we spend a lot of our time talking about the backhand volley as opposed to the forehand?
Well, you asking me as a teaching pro or?
A fan of the game,
Well,
teaching pro, absolutely.
Well, you can see, and I think the other half of the draw, the country's #1 team, Alvi Regalado and Jose Salazar, they hit a lot of forehand volleys compared to some teams.
Mm-hmm.
You don't see them overshift, and they never miss. I mean, they're unbelievably accurate. For people who might miss when a ball's coming at you, very few people have the ability to make a decision at that point with the length of this court compared to a tennis court. It's so short, you got to make up your mind sooner, set the paddle. In order to execute volleys, you need quiet hands. You've got to set that paddle, have your hands slightly open, paddle faced on those low balls to control the depth, the pace. So there's a lot of reasons why it's favored, and that's why I feel like when you get a beginner out there and you're teaching them, a lot of people say, well, why wouldn't you just teach them hit it sidearm? And I say, because I think it's all about being able to manage your way through matches, handling drives eventually, because it always comes down to the volleys.
Yeah, and the shield, your backhand shield, there's a reason that, hockey goalies have that, or have the blocker across in the backhand position, because they can cover more of the body with that play. Where if you go into that, forehand volley, you can't, your body gets in the way a lot of those balls. But again, the elite of the elite here that we're watching, you will see, a higher percentage of forehand volleys. But I tell you, when that ball's absolutely smoked or going to be hit at them, you'll see where they drop right into that backhand ready volley position.
Mike, were you a goalie in pond hopping on your days growing up in Detroit, Michigan?
No, I was more of a skier at Nub's Knob up in Harbor Springs, Michigan. So you wouldn't want to see me on skates.
Great start for Gregurovic and Ostojic after last night, going so late. Just was a little curious about how they'd come out, and they have showed up, intense from the first moment this match started.
Wow, great shot from Adam Morgan. Ostojic there was perfectly positioned, just a really good drive and drew a volley error.
Bennett, Gregurovic, Ostojic.
A dok on ne potegne. To mu jebe
And that's what they want. They want McNerney to hit that shot, right?
Yeah,
They were
they-
ready.
They were sitting on it. And I'm not sure if Graham thinks that, maybe he went for a little bit too more based on their position. Thought maybe he might have to hit a better drive. But I would say if
I don't
that's
know,
the
but-
case,
Mike, they definitely want Graham to hit the ball. So if they can
Yeah.
induce him into driving by giving him some shots that maybe you wouldn't give another player, that I wouldn't be surprised if they try to do that, like bait Graham into driving the ball a little sooner than what he typically will do.
wow. Did you notice that little subtle? You see
Oh,
Tommy
yeah.
G. I mean, Graham acted as if he was bailing and then took that one quick step up and stuffed it in behind him. Pretty impressive play. A little cat and mouse game going on out here. Patty, can you talk to why Tin and Tommy are returning from one side and then switching in the backcourt after the return?
Well, they're probably wondering why right now themselves. No. I'm a big fan of the play, Mike, for, it happens for different reasons for different teams at different points in the match as a tactical adjustment. Sometimes the net team is just doing a great job and they're in such a rhythm with their shots that you've got to give them a different look. We'll talk about it a little bit more after a word from our sponsor.
Oh, yeah. Get ready to take your training to the next level with Serve and Volley, the world's first responsive play drill. Volley's new AI-powered feature mimics real game conditions, tracking your court position and returning every serve just like the real thing. It's the ultimate way to sharpen your platform tennis skills with targeted practice. Try Serve and Volley today on the Volley Racket app and experience the future of training. Get Volley today at getvolley.com.
So, tactics, change in tactic. You have a comfort zone in certain situations against certain matchups, I would say, in matches. And sometimes, you have your side where you may feel much more comfortable hitting the return to serve from that side. But maybe your team's better off if you're on the other side for whatever reason tactically.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of times you'll see the teams pull the switch. I'm a big fan of it, no matter what level. And a lot of times, Mike, we teach a lot of people, who are newer in the game, let's call it. And, they'll be like, well, I can't go play over on that side because I'm not any good in the screens. And I look at them and say, well, you're really not good. They might say, I can't play the ad court screen. And I'll say, well, you really don't play the deuce court screens either. What difference does it make? But maybe for the team and your partnership this week, it could be a great move.
Yeah, I think the ability to play both sides is, for those getting into the game or playing the game, your entire life, the more well-rounded you are, the better you are. Got
For
a
sure.
Quick love 30 lead here for Morgan McNerney.
It goes without saying, Mike, this is a critical game here for Gregurovic and Ostojic. They, right here, you kind of feel like McNerney and Morgan are settled in, comfortable. I feel like, it's just some errors that are ending the points here. It's not the points aren't ending on a spectacular shot necessarily from McNerney and Morgan. Rather, I think it's an error at this point.
Yeah, I'd agree. And as I said before, you know, the balance of errors to winners, if that is favoring Morgan, where they're getting more errors while not giving up as many winners, I think it's to their favor.
You know, we talk about grinding out matches. You know, when you play against Morgan and McNerney, you have to walk on the court and assume that you're going to have to grind out every single point you play. And that wears on you mentally.
God, Adam takes that ball so early. It's so clean off both sides.
Love 40.
Really good dipping ball. Not really, you know, Tommy G was way off the net. I don't know if he would have been better off just letting it go through and giving up the spot. He was 3/4, nowhere to go. Great ball from Morgan.
Yeah, hindsight is 20/20, but he may have been a little bit kind of loose with his recovery back to the net. Now, good point though. You said that dipping forehand. It wasn't the pace that won that and forced an error. It was the fact that he was able to find the space that's below net level and forcing Tommy G to volley the ball up over the net.
You saw how Morgan looked to pull the trigger. You saw, you know, Tommy G close, make a hard close to the net, and Morgan just threw the ball up. And, you know, that's what makes the game's best players. What's the differentiator, I believe, because I feel like a lot of guys get the look they want, but it might not always be the best shot for your team at that point. And you've got to, the more you make that other team work and create spaces for yourself constantly and just get the guys off balance more. I mean, that just wears you out over a course of a match. I feel like when there's a short ball and you feed it to Adam Morgan, you know he's going to drive and he drives it, you're like, okay, like physically it doesn't take a toll on you. But, you know, the more really long points McNerney and Morgan play, I don't expect there to be a change in how it's handled from Tin and Tommy. I think this is a tall task right now for them, just because of how disciplined and consistent, you know, the tactical adjustments that Morgan and McNerney are able to make. Real subtle little things, but it's why they're so good.
Yeah, and that, you know, that up and back action at the net with the threat of the drive where they're forced to close real hard and then Adam throws in that little block lob. You know, it's tough on the transmission, you know, and they're going forward and then slamming it into reverse. And it does have it takes its toll over the course of a match. Wow, that was a really superb get, Mr. Morgan there. Sometimes you just let the paddle do the talking here, Patty.
Oh,
Holy
yeah.
smokes. What a well-spotted drive.
Yay, Morgan, McNerney.
Getting a little bit of a space here with a 4-2 lead now. I mean, how many hits was that point? And I mean, 300 hits?
Incredible. Hey, Mike, I think it's 4-3 on the other semifinal match in the first set. Fraser West up 4-3 on Regalado Salazar. I'm not sure if you have an update on that.
I believe that is, I believe you are right. Are you in between games here? I'm catching one of the best points that I've ever seen on that other court. So I'm sorry if I sound preoccupied.
Oh, don't worry about it, Mike. No, it's such great action. I too am watching a little bit of both matches. It's just extraordinary play out here.
I believe the score, you were right, 4-3, love 15 on that court. And we are at 4 serving 2 here from Morgan McNerney.
Who did they just break, Mike?
Boy, that's a good question. That last point was so long, I can't recall who.
Exactly, me neither. That's why I'm asking you the question. I can't remember either. Oh, great. You know, McNerney ran that ball down, hit a good little shot. Tommy G would love that shot again.
I think he tried to hit just too good of a volley on that one. He didn't need that, thread the needle like that.
I think they broke 10 in that game, Mike.
I believe you are right, yes.
Second break of Ostojic in this first set, men's semifinals from Charities at the beautiful Glenview Club in Gulf, Illinois. Ball's called out, a little question.
I was right on the line here, Patty, and it was just wide.
Yeah, it looked wide.
Confirmed by Ron Borgatti up in the chair, and I give the confirmation of the confirmation because I was sitting on that line.
Double confirmation.
Yes. Got multiple checks and balances here at the Chicago Charities.
Jason Love's doing a great job, taking over for John Obertle years ago, tournament director here, doing everything this weekend. Congrats to Jason on another successful Chicago Charities event.
Yeah, the whole staff, the Glenview Club, they work extremely hard to make all this happen. And all the, volunteers, I said it last night, the volunteers, donate their time. All the clubs in the area that are donating their courts, without that, these tournaments don't. Oh, look at this little cutter! Wow,
40-15.
that was a great get from Tommy G there. Roll he
I don't think Graham ever has played that shot before. The little one that he just missed into the net.
The receiver of that shot, when it spins back over the net, do have the opportunity to follow the ball over.
Morgan, McNerney. They lead the first set 5-2.
So, Mike, the separation has occurred. You could kind of feel it. We had that 3-2 moment, and they broke 10 in that. That was that game that had a really good long point, and the separation is underway now with these two teams. And all right, so you're Tommy G and 10. What would you tell him, Coach Mike Riley?
I'd say we got to weather this storm. You always have to anticipate that there's going to be some ebbs and flows throughout the match. But the hope is that, our lulls are short and sweet. Get through them, and we've got a few points here and there that have cost them kind of a 5-2 deficit, or caused the 5-2 deficit here. I'd say buckle down, get back to work.
Grind all day, just exactly what the mentality that particularly, Morgan and McNerney both have it, but McNerney's always been hit one more shot, hit one more shot, one more shot. And that's what they've got to keep in mind. Ha!
15 all.
And I would say no,
Zabori would have made that.
yeah, no between the leg volleys. You might be better off just letting that ball go through.
It's a national shot. Wow. But when he went for that, was that just like maybe a little bit of fatigue, like just a little fatigue, Mike? I'm not sure.
I'd have to say more mental fatigue, maybe. It just,
Right, right.
We see them a little bit flat right now. Not seeing that high energy that we saw a little earlier in the match.
The ball was good, I think, Mike.
Yeah, overruled here from Ron Borgatti for the first set. We'll be back after these words from our sponsor.
At Corient, wealth management begins and ends with you. We believe the more personal the solution, the more powerful the result. We treat your goals as our own. We never lose focus on the life you want to build. And our experienced advisors design custom-built strategies to help you get there. It's time for a wealth management experience as sophisticated as you are. It's time for Corient.
Welcome back to the APTA Tour. We're here at the Chicago Charities event out of the Glenview Club in Gulf, Illinois. This is men's semifinal action. We just saw Morgan McNerney take the first set 6-2 over Gregurovic and Ostojic. I'm Patty Hogan with Mike Ralevich. Mike, what do you think of that first set?
Well, I think you and I, we're not always right, but we did call that one, I think, early on, saying that, what's the differentiator here in the match? And we really saw the grinding and the ability for Adam and Graham to basically lock things down and force Tommy G and Tin into errors was the difference in that first set.
Yeah, Mike, you mentioned a term, mental fatigue, right there at the end of that set. Can you explain mental fatigue?
Well,
How do you get mental fatigue?
well, I think it's being forced to hit, shot after shot, that some of the time they may not be expecting a ball to come back, and it is over and over. And it weathers, it wears. It's like death by 1,000 cuts, that it's like, here comes another one. And it either forces them into hitting shots that they, going for a little bit more, or just getting kind of not bored within the point, but just a little careless in the shots that they may be taking.
Yeah, I think that's a great careless. You sort of they get lulled. And that's when you're lulled and you're just not as mentally sharp. Really hard to execute.
good ball. And I love that Tommy G took the pace off the ball and just dipped it at Graham's feet.
Right, and he went into that with so much energy, you thought he was just going to knock the snot out of the ball, and he took everything off it. Beautiful control.
40-30.
And you can see, the temperament. Morgan, McNerney, they win the point, they lose the point, they look the exact same. You can feel a little more passion coming out of these guys. They're a little emotive, and I think the key for them, like you said, they've got to keep that positive energy going, going at all times, no matter what the score is out here. But it is a challenge because they are definitely, I don't know that it's a physical grind, but I think it is exactly what you said, a mental grind here.
Like there, we just have an unforced error.
They lead second set 1 game to 0, and they won the first set 6 games to 2.
Hey, Mike, let's talk about our favorite event of the year. I mean, it's hard, charities we love. We love so many of these stops on the APTA tour, but Team Nationals, you're the one who was the first guy who raised his hand, took the phone call, stepped up to the plate for the APTA when Team Nationals was introduced, and you ran with it and made it into the biggest event in our sport. Do a wonderful job out there. I'm happy to be involved on the East Coast. Greg Morgan has the lead for us this year. We're going to be hosting about 500 women players. I think you're going to get hopefully that many out in Chicago with the men. How's your planning going for it, Mike?
Oh, it's moving along. I think that is it's the premier event, and there's nothing else like it on the APTA tour, if you want to call it that. But on the slate of tournaments, it's a team event, 6 to 8 of I don't want to say like-minded PTIs, but it's PTI based, where we take 6 to 8 players. They play 3 lines. We get teams coming in from across the country, but also from, the league here. And it's a great weekend. I would say start thinking about it now if you have an interest. Last year we were maxed out and waitlisted. And really, we had so many women last year that it came down to the number of courts that we could get.
Yeah, you had to add a whole set of courts down in the Hinsdale areas. You had to have 2 bases. I think we're definitely having 2 bases in Jersey. We'll host, one of the sites will be Canoper Country Club, and the other site will be the beautiful Indian Trail Club up in Franklin Lakes, and we'll split everybody up between those sites so that all those players will have a great time together, and that way we can kind of manage the numbers. We'd love to have 1,000 people playing each event, but there's a ton of courts in Jersey and Chicago, but, there's just not enough. Speaking of that, how many courts are in Chicagoland within an hour of the Glenview Club, Mike?
Oh, boy, I think we're over 160 courts. And I want to say, it's really interesting, Patty, that not to say that I've been around the game for a while, and as have you. When I started in Chicago,
This is hysterical, Mike, by the way.
There were, I think, 2
This is exactly
clubs.
what I was thinking they might do, and just literally dump the ball to
Right.
him.
They're going to, baiting him into driving the ball. And I have to say, this is
I think it's brilliant.
yeah, but who can sustain it longer? That will be the question. Because I think Graham will stay out there all afternoon until he gets the perfect opportunity. And like we saw there, they dumped 30, 40, 50 balls into Graham's forehand to bait him to drive. And one ball sneaks to Adam. He hammers it, and they transition to the net and win the point.
I want to see them do it again and let Adam just run in front and just crush one of those balls they give to Graham. I don't think it'll happen, but it'd be pretty funny.
But back to our discussion about the number of clubs and courts here in the Chicago area. You know, in the mid-'90s, there were 3 or 4 clubs with dedicated year-round professionals, and now we have, I think, over 30 clubs. I counted it last year, and it was like 23 clubs that have not only dedicated, you know, tennis and paddle tennis professionals, but it's not including their assistants, and so it's an amazing growth. And you know, the league now is expanded to 50-something men's series, if you count the Southwest League as well as the, you know, the on the North Shore here. In the men and the women's, we have 16 series or different flights in the day league, and then there are, I think, 11 Monday night league, and it just continues to kind of amaze me, the growth.
Yeah, you guys, the trajectory of paddle in Chicago, just, you know, from when I started playing decades ago, just to now. I remember last time I was in Chicago, maybe 2 years ago, and I just love driving around and paddle courts here, paddle courts there, brand new club altogether. You know, a lot of open land there and long winters, so it is the ideal way to get through winter. Being able to participate outside with your friends, so social. You get the competitive, you know, all your competitive stuff. You get juiced, and it's so fun. It's what makes our sport really a remarkable sport, because you're all used to out there grinding 0 degrees, Mike. I'm thinking about, do I want to cancel my lesson with Mike Rowley today? It's -1. No, I don't, because I know what a great opportunity that is for me as a player in the beautiful Exmoor Club. I'm sure no one cancels a lesson ever with you, Mike.
Never, never. You know, and we saw Tin and Tommy G here go to that little dump, and it was a brief trial, and I don't know if they, you know, why they gave
I
up.
want to see him. Yeah, I want to see him do it again. Mike, we're 9 games deep into this match. How many unforced errors McNerney and Morgan made? What do you think? Do you need one hand?
No, I think it's 2. You know, they've missed. I think between the 2 of them. We had a couple missed lobs long. I'd say they're in the 6 to 7 range.
Okay. Pretty phenomenal.
Yeah, pretty solid, I'd say. And the misses were, you know, inches. You know, it just might have been a slight breeze or something that kicked up there, but.
Yeah, when they miss, they only miss by a tiny bit.
30, 40.
A quick break point here. Looking to break Ostojic here for the 3rd time. Is that correct?
I think so.
Go, go, go.
Nice drop. Boy, there's some quickness there. You know, players that move that well, I think sometimes you'll see that the drivers will hit it to the space that they're occupying now, kind of knowing that they're moving on, they're exiting that space and moving into another one. It's that's some of the cat and mouse game that we see in this. Got to watch out for that one.
Advantage. Morgan, McNerney.
Yeah, McNerney just took a step over, took advantage of that shot, forced a volley error. Another break point here in the early going in the second set of Chicago Charities men's semifinals.
You know, and I think that if they're really going to, like there, we can't have Tommy hitting that high backhand overhead. That's where Ostojic has to step over. There we go. I like that position better, where they're fully shifted.
What a rocket from Morgan.
That's the spin, forcing the
And Morgan.
ball to come off the paddle there. Got Morgan, McNerney, 2-love here.
2-love, Mike, 6 games in a row. Morgan McNerney.
That's a great drive. He led him perfectly.
And that's the thing about the sidearm serve. I'm amazed more people just don't drive it right at the guy
Right
standing
to
at the net.
man. Yeah.
Other semifinal action, 5-4. Eric West is serving down 4-5 to Regalado Salazar. They're at deuce in a great match in the other semifinal.
A little lucky.
15 all.
Let court action there.
What a beautiful shot from McNerney. Just hung out, waited, had his paddle set really early.
That's such a good point. If you watch all these players, how early they set the paddle. But between Adam and Graham, it's, they're kind of the poster children for that.
Yep.
And it's not only their screenplay and their lobs. Boy, you look at the volleys when Graham goes to volley, how the hands are just there. And Guy Moore and I were talking about it last night. It's the before and after photos of a volley, how similar they look, because there is no unnecessary, swings or movement. Boy.
15.
See, and I think that shot was, the points are ending, but they're getting into trouble prior to the end of the point. And when I say they, I mean Ostojic and Gregurovic are, and some of these, the shot selection on the overhead, and then they're not solidifying their position at the net. And, you're really allowing Adam to do what he does best, and that is to spot those drives through the spaces. And if I were a coach that about right now, if we were playing in a sport that allowed timeouts, I would be calling a timeout here, trying to reset Tommy G and Tin.
Yeah, it might be more than mental fatigue now. It could be a little physical as well, possibly.
They won the first set 6 games to 2.
And they usually a lot of times come hand in hand. You get a little bit flat with your footwork, and then errors start creeping in. Judgment errors, maybe hitting the ball in the wrong spot.
And, their positioning, we use the word, it's a little casual. They don't show like a sense of urgency. Okay, I just hit a shot and we're in trouble here. What's going to be my best position to go defend it? they just sort of are so. I think they can so rely on their racket skills that they have no urgency position wise.
Uh-huh. And against the top teams in the country, and Morgan and McNerney are definitely one of those top teams. It can be to their detriment. It's positioned with a purpose. And we're not seeing that. That their net positioning is not as purposeful as it could be.
15 love.
Is Adam okay? He just missed a lob, Mike.
It might be number 2. Graham has had a couple, but go take their temperature.
Yeah, really. Have the Advil ready.
Got to be careful of that shot. Hard ball off the back screen. Wow.
Wow!
That had gone
That
in.
was-
What a point.
What a great little lob there.
Yeah.
A softly hit ball exactly to the spot that they knew no way they could cover it.
15-30.
Must win game here.
I would say we are looking at a must win.
It's a beautiful half volley from 3/4 depth.
Do you teach that, Patty?
Well, no, but that's how I play now.
A necessity.
That's right. My big long strides don't get me far.
How's your?
My translator?
Yeah.
You don't know what my translator just came up with.
Advantage, Morgan, McNerney.
8 games in a row if they don't hold serve here. Ooh, I just feel like I feel like, I don't know, I don't think they got the legs here, Mike. I feel like we need a spring in their step, and they don't have anything left in their tank. And I can understand why.
Yeah. It's a long weekend.
So it makes the Chicago event. Anybody who can end up prevailing in this event, it's a monster achievement. Last year, McNerney was in the winner's circle with Juan Araya. They beat the team of Durant Mitchell. So we know that's what McNerney's got his eye on here. Repeat win in Chicago.
Love to see the positive energy here.
Morgan, McNerney.
My translator battery just died.
Yeah, he's like, let's go. I think he said that. It's what we need. That serve just painted the line there.
Mike, and sometimes, you hit a wall physically or mentally. Mostly it's mentally. And then all of a sudden you grab a game and all of a sudden you can feel like a different person.
Well, we know the momentum shifts and how fast and furious they can be in this game. I don't know if there's another racket sport that has the swings that platform tennis does. You know, you're cruising, you win 7 games in a row, and I know I've come back, but I've lost bigger leads than this too, so it ain't over until you're shaking hands. Great ball.
Great swing.
Ajmo, hajde tvoj, ajmo.
Wow.
Other semifinals, Salazar Regalado had 2 sets points that West and Morgan have fought, West and Tyler Frazier have fought off. So another thriller going on the other court. See the matching green shirts from Regalado and Salazar to the right of your view.
Boy, and here we've got, you know, it's just, again, how hard it is to sustain winning play against Morgan and McNerney in that, you know, they played a great game and now they've missed 2 returns, 2 drives, you know, back to back.
And that's the fine line, Mike. You know, you got to hit your return, but you got to keep the ball in play. And you can see he's as disappointed as we are with his choice right there.
Yes, that is true. All right. Corient is the official wealth sponsor of the APTA's 24-25 season. Corient is a fee-only wealth manager who puts their clients at the center of everything they do. Learn more at corient.com.
Like you were talking earlier about volleys and how, with Guy Moore, how, you know, volleys just have no backswing, not a real follow through. They just set the paddle, absorb the pace of the ball. We've heard that over and over and over. I think another shot that we don't talk about very much, but you see, in particular, I've been watching Morgan McNerney. They do the exact same shot when they block lob off the deck. Mike, when they're hitting the shots, they just set their paddle. There's very little backswing, very little follow through. They use their legs, and you know that's how all the top players just can keep so many points in play, and how they can handle all the heavy spins from each other because they just set that paddle, keep their wrists pretty firm, Mike, and you know I think it's a lot like a volley.
Yeah, and like you just saw Adam Morgan do it there. And it can have the effect of kind of the ball gets back to the overheaders in a, you know, it really shrinks the amount of time that they have to set up and attack. And you'll see them block as well off balls that, you know, that heavy roller that's come into the game recently in the last couple of years where they can't get out of the way and they're just absorbing the pace of the roller and blocking the ball back up. See, and I would love to see when Tinton covers that volley. You notice there, Patty, how he volleyed cross court rather than in front of the space that he's moving to. I think that's one thing that I would recommend that they do a little bit better is when they cover and they're crossing over to, you know, reaching for that volley, they're dumping it back in front of where he's reaching, because then they don't have to shift again.
Yeah, that's a great point, Mike. Totally agree. And the more you move the ball, you know, we always talk about splitting the court up in zones, like 3 zones across the net. And, you know, when you go across, that means you have to go and follow the ball and make a move. And sometimes just hitting, you know, quieter, more boring volleys potentially, you know, at the very most, only to the middle versus all the way cross court can help you out position-wise and help your anticipation and execution.
And I think that's, you know, one of the subtleties of a tennis, you know, volley in tennis. A lot of times you're volleying to space or avoiding someone when you're in trouble. And here it's more of put the ball in a position that you are best able to. Oh, almost an incredible get. but trying to keep that volley in front of your defensive position and not forcing that defensive position to shift side to side.
Good point. And Mike, we know in tennis, people hit volleys, and you can hit winners on a tennis court.
Yeah.
Against the top people in the game, you can't hit winners because they know how to defend every shot. They've learned the screens. They can hit, make all their screenshots with their eyes closed, basically. And so, very different mentality. And so every volley you hit, you've got to assume the ball's coming back, and you've got to put yourself in the best position for your team to defend the next shot.
I just heard the score update, 5-all in the first set over there.
Yeah, Fraser West fought off a couple set points there. Phenomenal match going on. In addition to this
Did
match.
you see that serve, by the way?
Oh, yeah.
Watch it.
You got that shot, Mike?
No. There's not a...
Get ready. Someone might ask you, can you teach me that?
Might be able to, on paper, whiteboard it, but won't be able to demonstrate it. I'll get the volley machine to crank up the pace and the spin on it, and then we might be able to recreate that one.
In. Gregurovic. Ostojic. Second set. Morgan. McNerney.
4 serving 2 now in the second set.
All right. What do you think? Does he tag Graham with this?
Got a new ball. I would anticipate.
I think he might.
Yeah.
A little disappointed. I just wanted to see how Graham would handle it.
That's a great volley from Graham.
And Mike, when you say great volley, because it was an obvious winner in that situation, how it worked out. But the amazing thing when you watch these top volleyers is how low the ball bounces when it comes off their paddle, because they wait really long. That timing of their point of contact is so much later than most players who play the game.
Yeah, and what made it so good was he was putting the ball into a position that wasn't necessarily trying to hit a winner, but Gregurovic was off position, and he basically volleyed it into where he was standing and made him struggle to play that ball off the back screen.
Right here, Gregurovic and Ostojic, they got to dig in deep here. They got to try to find something. They're on the, it looked like it was going to go fast, but 4-2, not a big deal. They've both got to be on the same page here and try to energize each other a little bit.
40-15.
You said it, it can change on a dime. One shot, 1 point. Can change everything. Mike, Adams serving that ball and staying back, and Graham knew he was going to stay back. Why does Graham stay up at the net in that situation, in your opinion?
Well, if Graham can cut the ball off, then it allows Adam to join him up there. And if a ball goes by, they haven't lost anything. They're just giving up the net. So it gives them the opportunity to volley the ball and keep the net.
They lead the second set.
We're at 5-2 now for Morgan and McNerney.
Won the first set 6 games to 2.
And it doesn't hurt it doesn't hurt McNerney and Morgan if he stays up and then drops back. Like, that's
Yeah.
not a big deal for them as a team at all.
Nothing lost. No, they just are changing their position.
Mike, how about that crowd last night here at Glenview? I love seeing the crowd. When you walk through that paddle hut, just the hundreds of people in there having, the world's biggest cocktail party in Chicago last night. It
Yeah.
probably was underway at the Glenview Club.
And it didn't. The view to the south over in the parking lot here was the one that was impressive. I mean, probably triple the amount of people were outside on the sides of the court than in the hut. It's definitely
great
standing
setup
room
with-
only.
A lot of people around that midnight paddle truck.
Mike Morrison. Shout out to him.
Mo.
Interesting stat about Mike Morrison. He's one of 2 players in history in Illinois State tennis to win 4 state titles in singles. He went.
Wow.
Yeah.
I didn't know that about Mo.
Yeah, and then he went on to University of Georgia and won a NCAA title, a team title as well. Wow, that's a great shot. Was our
What a
third
point.
transition here?
30 all.
All right.
There we go. And smiles and see if they can turn this around.
40, 30.
All right. They believe they're back, Mike.
Yang, Gregurovic, Ostojic, Morgan, McNerney lead the second set 5-3.
This is the thing. I want, in a way, I want this to go 3. I think that, the Morgan McNerney, kind of got that separation in that first set, and huge credit to these guys for grinding through this battle out here. And, they're in this match only down 5-3, not only, but 5-3. And, I do feel that energy, a little bit of momentum, little help from Graham and Adam with some errors in that game. But they're right back in it. So why not 3 sets, Mike?
Why not? I mean,
Love 15.
we've seen, 2 drive errors and a missed overhead there. It's even the big monkeys fall out of the tree now and then. And I mean, it can change the momentum when they do fall.
Some monkeys have the ability to get right back up to that
That's
top
right.
branch immediately.
They don't fall far, do they? Wow, that's some deft touch there.
Skupio si. Ajde. Ovaj point, ajde.
I can't believe it. Really good lob. Interesting. McNerney and Morgan made no move to move back to the net. gave
Yeah.
Tommy G the whole court, and unfortunately he missed.
Game, set,
Oh
match.
boy.
Morgan,
Game, set, and
McNerney,
match on a
6-2, 6-3.
service call that was overruled. Morgan McNerney, 6-2, 6-3, on their way to the finals.
Play the winner of the Salazar Regalado Fraser West match. Mike, any final thoughts?
Well, I think, as we discussed at the start of the match and, our pre-production meeting, it kind of went as expected. Just the experience and discipline of Morgan McNerney just, ground the game down for Tommy G and Tin. But fun match to watch, great shots, and boy, I'm looking forward to the finals here.
Yeah, Mike, me too. The finals will be at least an hour after the completion, most likely, of the other semifinal. It's a long match out there. And so, in theory, what do we have? A 1 o'clock? Is it a 1 o'clock slated final out there?
That is when it's slated, but they're into, they're still at the end of the first set here. And it's been, an hour and 45 minutes that they've been playing. So, it's slated to start at 1 o'clock, but I would say it would be better to think not before 1 p.m. as the final.
Exactly. We'll be up against some football, but it will be an amazing men's final. Mike, always a pleasure calling matches with you. Thanks so much, and that's a wrap. And tune in this afternoon or go to the other YouTube channel and catch other semifinal action. Thanks, Mike.
Thanks, Patty.
At Corient, wealth management begins and ends with you. We believe the more personal the solution, the more powerful the result. We treat your goals as our own. We never lose focus on the life you want to build. And our experienced advisors design custom-built strategies to help you get there. It's time for a wealth management experience as sophisticated as you are. It's time for Corient.